meeting. So I'm going to call it to order. Brady.
Sorry, it was me.
No, it was never you, Molly. You're the vice president of the school board. You didn't do it. It was Mr. Shutt over there.
Got this all on recording.
My last time at the table.
First up, we're going to approve the minutes from our August meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the minutes of the August meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, discussion items. We're going to start off with the 200 series on our regular review. I'll turn it over to you, Chase. It didn't look like there were a ton of.
No, not a lot. Good evening. This is, as Lisa said, our kind of our regular review cycle. And while all the board policies are the board's, of course, the 200 is about the board. And so we have very little way in changes or suggestions. And of course, we'll be open to anything that you all would like us to make changes to. As I said last month, as we get into the cycle, there are less and less changes, which I think is a good thing. The one I would point out to the board, though, and really I think it just helps solidify a practice we've gotten into about policy review, would be 209.6, review and revisions of policy. So we did make some changes to just really kind of spell out the months when we'd actually look at policy. And it's partly because when the board made the changes over the summer about months we were not going to have 2 meetings, we just wanted to get in a better routine of our schedule. And so you see them laid out, we're on track. It's October, it's September.
Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, but the board, this is not about P and G, right? This is about when the board would review them at the table, so it's a little bit
Yes,
off.
it is a
I
little off.
confused
Yep.
myself. But when we get into November and December with only 1 meeting a month, we're gonna designate one committee meeting for P and G, and it's probably in November, and in December, the one committee meeting we'd have that month would be for ops, just so we don't overload one committee and underrepresent the other one. But this just gives us a good annual rotation, regardless of who's around the table, about when we look at policies and how we see them coming up. That's really the only substantive, if you can call it that, change to the 200s that we would suggest. But of course, I entertain any questions that board members have about other policies or this one.
Questions or comments from board members?
Well, just on that last part, if P&G is going to be in November, then we probably need the January to say December, because we'll be
Yeah.
to
That's
discuss something in November,
Yeah.
vote
Vote
on
on
December, and then
December.
we won't have
And
met
then
in-
January will be the
So I
skip.
think that would change if we were changing.
Or,
the
you know, what we
meeting.
could, sorry, kind of could, now that we.
Or just flip-flop the
I wasn't gonna
committees and
make a
leave this
decision,
alone.
is, I wonder if we just put like November/December.
Oh, I
And
like
so
that.
then it gives
That
the board the
works.
flexibility to have the meeting either month. And
Yep.
because we don't have a policy like this for ops, it's really just because it's about the policy review that we have to lay it out. And so if we just kind of give ourselves that flexibility, and the board gives itself that flexibility.
But I think we would want to do December
January.
January.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because November will be October's P and G meeting, yes.
Apologies
So
if I'm
that's,
struggling with this.
you should drink that coffee.
Exactly, yes.
Or stop.
The good news is I will not be at the October meeting, so I'm sure you will get this all cleared up.
Any other thoughts or comments on our 200 series? All right.
I will be at the October PG.
Do you need to take a minute?
Yeah. Listen, we have a whole hour.
Just go take a
So,
Just a timeout.
all right. So let's move on to our other final agenda item, which is our 200-3R1. My understanding, there's a revised red line copy on our agenda. My understanding is the admin team put that together based on our conversation last month. I'll turn it over to you, to Chase or Matt, to maybe walk us through what we need to be walked through, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, hi everybody. We tried to make this policy reflective of the changes you discussed last time and address some of the concerns that were in the first paragraph. We really, the language there that lives in that first paragraph now is reflective of the language in 200.3. That is the policy this is nested under. And then I know you guys still wanted to have some additional conversation about that rotating schedule and this, I guess, the concept of representation is what Kim and I look back at some of the notes was in there about if you wanted to include that or not, or if you just wanted to have a rolling schedule. But otherwise, yeah, we tried to clean up the language, reflect the process you had talked about, and then wanted to give you a chance to respond to that tonight with any feedback or changes you want to see happen there.
Comments and thoughts?
Just to be sure I understand, then the rotating schedule would be used for meetings which do not include matters of investigation or discipline, or the other things that are described in the second sentence.
Well, I think, just thinking about these examples we have, I think you could still end up with somebody that's potentially frustrated in what the district's response and that they would want to have an informal conversation about that. I think the note there, Charlie, is reflective again in what's 200.3, and so it's a fine line the board's walking if they're taking those meetings about, being in an investigatory role, or, the more general statement in that language has become involved in those disciplinary or employment matters. But I would say it wouldn't be out of form that the board's held one of those small group meetings with a person that's been frustrated about whether that employment matter involved them or somebody else, and how that was handled. So I don't think it's necessarily exclusive to saying maybe those. I think that's more of a nod to the above policy that the board should become overly involved in those types of situations.
So I have a follow-up question, discussion about that. So I tried to nail down when we serve in our quasi-judicial role. And I looked at the statute, and from what I could identify is it's teacher discharge. So if we discharge a teacher mid-year, they have a right to appeal to the board. It's a teacher termination at the end of the year. If we don't renew a contract, they have a right to appeal to the board. The extracurricular contract doesn't have appeal rights to the board. The admin team contract, if it's discharged or terminated, the administrative team has an appeal right to the board, and then it's student suspension and expulsion. The one thing I didn't have time to do is look at our negotiated agreement, and so I was.
Educators terminated in the middle of the year have a right.
But it's still just terminations. So like if a student or if a teacher gets a letter of reprimand, that's not an appeal right to the board. We're really just talking about when someone is fired, expelled, or suspended, right?
For the hearing portion.
Correct,
Yeah.
for our quasi-judicial role. And so
Same
it,
way the other situation.
No, I was gonna say, it's even a little bit more narrow than that, Lisa, because if it's a probationary teacher, they have a right to hear the rationale in front of the board, but the board, I think technically,
No
isn't even
quasi-judicial.
making a decision on it. They're just making sure the board member gets, or the probationary teacher gets to hear the reason, hear their concern.
I mean,
There's also, I believe there is a complaint, yes. So 213.1 in the policies we just talked about does provide a path to the board. Step 4 is if the matter cannot be settled satisfactorily by the superintendent, it may then be brought to the board for consideration.
What matters to
I'm sorry?
those? What matters to those?
It's really, Charlie, kind of just a general complaint policy that, I can't remember, it looks like we adopted it back in 2021. And Kim, I can't remember that, is
That's
that one
when
we
we-
created internally, or is that one that came to us? from-
Those are anything adopted in 2021 came from IASB. That's when we adopted their policies.
but I guess that to me though isn't a quasi-judicial hearing, which Iowa code sets very specific guidelines when we sit as a quasi-judicial board. And so I guess my question along with Charlie, I can't ever imagine having an informal meeting with a teacher who's been terminated. We're three, I just don't I can't imagine why we would do that with a terminated para, teacher, staff member, or an expelled or suspended student. So I think the answer to Charlie's question should be no, we would never have an informal meeting with the subject of something that would be appealed to us in our quasi-judicial.
No, but you might have a meeting with someone else about someone that might come in front of you in your quasi-judicial. So let's say a parent has a concern about a staff member, and they want to meet about why that staff member should be terminated. And then it gets to that level, you're right, you might not have met with the actual employee prior to that, but you could be privy to information that otherwise might not get presented in a board hearing, either by the employee or even by the district, that the rest of the board might not be privy to. So that would be an example of where it might not be the student, it might not be the staff member, but there could still be a situation where that could arise.
But according to this, there would be 3 board members in such a hearing, right? Not just one.
It could be.
Could be.
Well, in this, it wouldn't be the hearing, Charlie, then it's just an informal meeting. So Chase's example, somebody's frustrated about discipline we did provide or didn't provide to an employee, wants to meet with you and kind of air that grievance. It wouldn't be with the full board, you would be given an audience with 3 of you.
And then how would that one board member be decided on to their just attending? Description, the example you would give.
Oh, well, it would be through my example is just that, yes, the board might not be asked to meet with a teacher that's been recommended for termination, but some other meetings could also impact later quasi roles. And maybe, Lisa, I wasn't speaking directly to your question.
No, I think you were. I mean, I see it, right? We meet with a parent that says XYZ did this in class, and I'm really upset about it. It wasn't handled appropriately, and maybe we hadn't fully investigated or whatever, and then you guys do investigate it, and it leads to the teacher termination, and then the teacher wants to appeal the termination to the quasi-judicial hearing, and then 3 of us have listened to this parent and, like I said, kind of gathered evidence that may or may not come out of the, I mean, I just am really uncomfortable with us being in a situation where we're getting information that's outside of a hearing, because IO code, 27.9.24 says that we shall make findings of fact which shall be based solely on the evidence in the record. That's what the law requires us to do. When we sit quasi-judicial, we can only make findings of fact that are in the record, which means we can't rely on facts that aren't out at the hearing.
Even if a parent or another party asks us to be in the hearing.
Well, I think that you could go to the hearing and then you don't get to participate in the quasi-judicial hearing. Like, then you have to recuse yourself. Because the other special thing about quasi-judicial hearings is they all have direct appeal rights to district court. So then we're going to have a district court reviewing our hearing, and not only like the due process that we provided, and if the district court finds out that people knew all these things that didn't come out at the hearing, they are going to not be happy about how they're going to say that hearing was flawed.
And the best thing to do is not go to that informal hearing.
Or if you do, recuse yourself if it comes up in the future.
Why would I want to go to the informal hearing?
Well, I don't want to go to the informal, yeah.
That means I'm not going to participate in it.
My big fear here is the slippery slope. Like, do I recuse myself from talking to any parent or anybody in the community? Like, how many times could how many school districts out there could a lawsuit have been prevented, or getting pounded on by the public could have just been handled by a board member responding kindly and gently to whoever is aggrieved? And that's more where I'm coming from on it, where it's like, okay, I respond, like, how do you know where to draw the line? How do you know when to draw the line? What is the line?
Well, I guess my impression is talking to somebody or just responding to people, that's not what we're talking
Mhm.
about. Am I right? Just like somebody calls me up and wants to talk about something and I just talk to them. I mean, if it eventually goes to termination of the person, then I recuse myself. But if it's not a set-up meeting with three of us but
Yeah, that's a line that gets a little trickier, right? If it's a one-on-one versus if it's three of you assembled, right,
Right.
to give
Yeah.
your information, I think there's probably some nuance or difference there.
And I wonder if, before acting on anything like this, we need to take it to Ehlers and have them look through it to make sure that it goes, well, responds to code and what it does or does not put us in.
Well, I also think another fix might be to add something to this policy that says, if a board member participates in any informal meeting, which later becomes the subject of a quasi-judicial, you will recuse yourself.
so that could be a one-to-one meeting.
Yeah.
It could be three of us met, for whatever, okay.
Yeah, because again, these don't happen a lot. Like, I think once in 6 years that I've been on. So it's not like they're frequently coming up. And I think it's better to be accessible to the community, to talk to them, right? Than to be like, sorry, can't ever talk to anybody because once every 6 years this might happen. But I think that we at least need to send the signal that if you do go to one of these meetings and you do get the expectation is then that you are going to recuse yourself.
The accessibility piece is why we went back and made that
Yeah.
change, because we pulled it from, as Matt said, the policy that oversees it, knowing that that policy came from ISB, and also understanding they're not gonna put a policy in place. It's supposed to chill board members' opportunity to talk with their constituents. And so repeating that language was trying to more narrowly tailor it. And I think that's what we're still trying to figure out is how narrow is that? But that was definitely the idea with what we proposed, was we knew ISB would want people to have access to board members, which is a big part of your role. So definitely not that intent to try to provide those conversations. But Mitch, that point's great, is where is that line? It's hard to establish exactly what it is, because every circumstance is gonna be different.
Well, and I think we got to remember, right? To me, it's also a small unit, like the Venn diagram of what people want to talk to us about is small. Like when people reach out and are like, the theater at City High needs help,
Yeah.
right? Like that is not at all implicated by this policy.
I talked to Bacon before you go over.
Well,
It's not in the policy. There's no policy, Charlie.
And teach an old dog new tricks.
But like that type of informal meeting isn't a concern, like, because that's never going to go to quasi-judicial. So to me, we all just have to be cognizant, like, if the conversation is about student suspension and expulsion should be really easy to identify, right? Because it's a parent saying, my kid was suspended or expelled and I don't think that it was right. And so that's easy.
Yeah,
I think the teacher one is a little trickier, or staff member one.
right.
Because you don't ever know where that investigation might ultimately end up. But at the same time, I think, like, if we all understand that we can have these meetings, but the result may be that you have to step away from the adjudication hearing, then we can all make our own decisions about our level of comfort with proceeding with participating.
So we're asking that, could that guidance be in the policy for board members to consider?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think, that if we could add something to this policy that just says, board members who participate in informal meetings, who then, obtain information that is later, that you guys will have to work on the language, but it later goes to a quasi-judicial hearing, will be, expected to recuse themselves.
What about, I wonder if there's a way to break this into also two parts, or I hate to suggest another regulation under it, but it seems like there's also kind of a dual purpose here. You might have a frustrated parent-employee situation, and then we've had the need for the board to meet with the community group, right? That probably doesn't interfere, it's a little cleaner, it doesn't interfere with that quasi-judicial responsibility you have, but there to listen, maybe just about some grievances, about this overall student experience in the district, or a certain ethnic group's experience in the district. Like, I wonder if there's a way to break that out from this other one that ensnares you in a little bit more difficulty because of your other role.
Because I wasn't part of the meeting with Fiona, but I think Jane was, were you there? That type of meeting
Right.
is never going to go so we should be participating in those meetings.
Right.
That's a good place for board members to be.
Yeah, I guess I don't see the need to break it up in here, because if you have a line of, if because of this meeting it then translates into something that crosses that
Yeah.
line, you need to recuse yourself.
And that never.
The rest of the time, the answer is, it doesn't,
It doesn't.
therefore
It
it's
still
okay.
applies.
Yeah.
That's true.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, so we'll work with, I think what you're saying is work with legal on that piece, the part about, I hear Director Williams talking about the recusal piece. I mean, we have those notes. I'm not trying to necessarily ask you to move on from that, but if you are done with that part, then I think it's the feedback on the other piece about how it is scheduled, right? So as soon as we get that cleaned up, then how would we schedule the 3 board members into it?
So this looks like the 3 are identified with an alternate for each month. I guess in my head, I was thinking it would just be a list and you'd just go through and do it, and then keep going on the list and start again, and just rotate through and not assign the month. It doesn't really matter.
I think you can do a blend of that, because
It doesn't-
I originally said that. My concern with that is, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's still the first 3 people, no matter what you do, right? Because it finally hits that you're having one. So I'm thinking you just have a rotating thing, but it is by month, and it's like the first 3 names. Maybe you put the 4th, which is also the first name in the next month, the next 3, and then the next 3. So it's rotating, but it is month-wise, so that at any given month, you might have a different set of people as the 3 you're choosing. Does that make any sense?
That's the way I was thinking about it, in my head, that you're kind of rotating the membership
Yeah.
each month based on the 7 of you. That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
You kind of have
Not a
4
sign
assigned
up
the
to
first-
sign up for the months you want.
You just like
But it's
alphabetically,
pre-populated,
but like
rotating.
alphabetically, and you just start like January, the first 3 alphabet, like last names, and then February, the next 3, and then March is the 7th, and then you start again with the first 2, and just rotate it through like that.
It's fine with me.
Sure.
Might want to put more
Does that
than,
make sense? So you take us by alphabetical last name. So Molly Abraham, I think you're first. I know I'm last, that's it.
Right.
But like, so
but your month will come.
my month will come, it'll be March. But, so Molly and then whoever the other 2 first alphabeticals are, maybe it's
Charlie, Sean.
Charlie and Sean. So Molly, Charlie, Sean are January. And then Jane, Mitch, and Ruthina would be February. And then I'm in March with Molly and Charlie.
Yeah.
And then you just keep repeating the 7 in that order throughout the year. And that's it.
I think you want to leave
You got the alternate.
Oh, the
alternate.
alternate.
Just leave it still in order, so then the alternate would be the
Yeah.
next 3 down.
Yeah.
Alternate becomes the first one the next month.
No, so it's just rotates, right? So whoever's first, Abraham would be the last alternate to be chosen the next month, and then she'll slowly make her way up, and 6 months from now, she'll be at the top again.
So the entire list are alternate possibilities in the
Yeah,
rest of the
You make your-
rotating.
yeah, just make it an
Unassigned
entire,
people, they're all in alternate order, basically. You
because,
order all of them.
yeah, because there could be a situation where the first 4 members,
Oh yeah, you can just put all 7 names,
yeah,
and then the next month is the same 7 names moved by 3 spots.
Yeah, there you go. So you have 4 instead of 3 each.
yeah.
But the 4th one is, the alternate. Good luck writing this.
Chase,
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, how specific do we need to be?
I need another.
Him and I have talked about it, but
You could just
I mean,
put
we
the
could say something
table
like a
and just say
rotating-
board
well,
member
that's what
1,
I-
board member
that's
2.
what distance.
just a generic placeholder.
We could just do 1 through 7 and show.
I like that idea. You just put the table in the policy.
Yeah.
The
Without
schedule
your
will follow
names in
this
it.
table.
Yeah,
Done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
that's
6,
good.
7.
Yeah.
And then your number is determined on alphabetical placement.
Yeah, that's how our HOA does.
Do we want to start with December as actually the first month because new people rotate on
Yeah.
in December?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It does say, the schedule will be determined at the organizational meeting, so as soon as you.
By the time we get stuff back from legal, meet again with you guys, I mean, we're gonna be a couple months away from getting this rolling anyway, so.
Sorry, Sean, you don't get to put your name on it?
That's all right.
That's what we're doing for.
We can do a writing campaign.
Yeah, right.
Any other comments or thoughts about 200, 301? I feel like we've been working on this for months, guys. I can't believe it's like almost across the finish line.
It's almost like the cell phone policy.
It feels that way.
Too soon, too soon.
Get into existence.
All right, so agenda setting, our next P&G meeting is next month on October 28th. And according to the chart, we will do the 300 series.
We'll also have a handful of policy primers that I just got. I think there's like 8 or 9.
8 or 9 primers.
So I'm sure that all of our non-committee members will continue to join us for our very exciting month of policy primers and 300s. Do we want to bring 3R1 back one more time next month, like final form to talk about?
I think we need to.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda too. Anything else?
You said the 28th?
I did. Yes, 28th, probably at 5:30. Although, do we need more time
I
next
don't-
month with all that stuff?
Let me look and see,
Okay,
because I think Nick might have had one too, the animals.
We have animals.
Yep,
so maybe we will start at 5 next month. Stay tuned.
Mini horse
I'll
is
make
an
sure.
option for a service animal in the state of Iowa. You can have a mini horse.
Anything else for the good of the group?
He asked if it was a horse. I was explaining it can be. That is a viable
All right,
option.
is there a motion?
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
All right.